Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Solutions Brewing Podcast. My name is Steven, and I'm joined this week by Brennan and Rob. And today we've got two topics we're going to be talking about. The first one, it's going to be hazy IPAs have reached equilibrium, and then gene-modified yeasts are now making a their debut or their potential debuts. So, I was going to say to start, what are you guys drinking tonight?
Water.
There we go. I was looking for one of those.
Oh, I'm drinking the Airdrie The Next Exit collaboration beer.
Oh, that's a fantastic beer. I have that in my own fridge.
Excellent. Available for a limited time only through our store. Listen to the end of the episode to see how to order it.
You guys want to know what I'm drinking?
Is it also water?
No, it's red wine.
With an ice cube in it?
Yes. This stuff is that fruit. This is the fruit wine from Millerville, and it's got a really strong taste of cinnamon in it. So it needs a little bit of a cool down, a little bit of a water down because it's very strong. It's got a strong flavor.
Isn't drinking wine with an ice cube in it like middle-aged soccer mom kind of drink?
I am a middle-aged soccer mom.
I don't think you've been on a soccer field in 30 years.
No, I have been on a soccer field more recently. No, I have been on a soccer field. And actually, I played basketball like a week ago.
Yeah,
I nearly died. But I nearly died.
So.
And my unathleticism was definitely on display.
All right.
But no, yeah, this has been open since because it was one of the open bottles from Rocky Mountain Wine and Food Fest. And I was like, oh, that's been open for like 3 weeks. That needs to be that needs to get drunk.
Oh my god!
I'm surprised you let it go that long.
This just keeps getting worse. You can pour it out.
Well, no. So because it's a good wine. It's just
no. It was a good wine.
Oh, it still is a good wine. It's just
the man drinking it with an ice cube.
The cinnamon in it is very strong, though. So this is the Sangria Saddle Up one. So it's actually meant to be diluted with other stuff, anyways.
Okay.
Anywho, topic time. Hazy.
Today we're discussing Steve's poor drinking choices.
Well, that's every week, but in particular, let's start with the first article, which was hazy IPAs have found their equilibrium. So this is an article I think out of Vine Pair, so U.S. outfit. But basically, they were doing a bit of research, a bit of study, talking to some people, and in the current phase that like hazy IPAs have been everywhere and all that kind of stuff. Restaurants and liquor stores are trying to see that while hazy IPAs are not going anywhere, like they have kind of established shelf space or, their place to exist in the liquor lineup, they're no longer growing. And it's basically at this point, people are now looking for more traditional, say flavors. So more like reds, browns, more like lagers and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to throw it over to Rob first. Hazy IPAs finding their equilibrium. Do you agree?
I think old beers are kind of found in equilibrium. I mean, that article talks about how if someone made a beer and called it a hazy, then it just would disappear. Mm-hmm. I think it's no different than the other trend that we've seen, like you don't really hear about a lot of new beer releases, or if there are, you don't see the big lineups to try some new release or some new thing or whatever anymore, right? Mm-hmm. I think it's just, I mean, to me, it makes sense. How much can you go out to some new brewery to find some new beer every week or whatever? You know what I mean? I think people just find their favorite ones, stick to the favorite ones, or really what happens is the best ones kind of win out, and then people just keep going to those ones, right? You get your favorite, you stick to that.
You get a beer you like, you drink the beer that you like.
Exactly.
How about you, Brennan? What do you think about hazy beer equilibrium?
Well, I think we kind of talked about this in a previous episode when you guys were giving me flack because all NEPAs taste the same.
They kind of do.
And they kind of do. And my response was, yes, and I like that taste. So
true.
It's kind of along that same line. They found the people who like that taste. They found their preferred beers, and why keep hammering the nail when there's so many other things that you can make with beer, so many other different varieties that you can play with, and so many other different styles. So like, I can see brewers just getting tired of rotating the same thing, and they'll put one in the lineup. They'll sell out when they sell out, and go try to make a lager, or go try to make something else. One of the things mentioned in the article is that there's a shift now to more craft lagers and stuff like that. And we've kind of seen that as well with the different shows that we've done, and there's more breweries coming out with a craft lager. And this might also be a little bit of a sign of the maturity of the craft industry. Home brewers and a lot of people who start making beer like to give lagers a lot of flack for not having the same flavor profile as ales or any of this other stuff. But the fact of the matter is, it's harder to make a good lager than it is to make a good ale. Yeah, you need more sophisticated equipment, you need more time, and you need more technical expertise.
Well, and that's the thing. A mistake on a lager is much more apparent than a mistake on a sour or a fruited beer sort of thing. Like, because it's very like fundamental flavors. It's very
there's nothing to hide behind. It's supposed to be crisp and clean, and instead of being able to hide behind chocolate malt or 5 pounds of citra hops or something like that, like it's got to be crisper. So there's that. And I mean, there's a reason why when we came out of Prohibition and there was only one type of beer available, it was a lager, and lagers were all you could get in the province for a long time. It's because a lot of people drink lagers. Yep.
Well, again, the statistic kind of still holds. It's like 85% of the beer industry is the big players, and those big players make lagers.
Yeah.
And like, there's a little bit of variation here and there, but 80% of the beer portfolio is just lagers. It's Anheuser-Busch, it's Sapporo, it's all those guys make lagers, and that's how the beer industry has been for 100 years.
And so the hazies, like, they're a new thing, and they're nice and shiny, and I still enjoy them. They're cool beers, but they might have just, like you said, found their spot, found their niche, and they're not getting the broader appeal that maybe some people thought they did when they were starting to take off.
Well, for me, it's that I like with the IPAs and all that kind of stuff now, I don't see a lot of variation in the beers. So the beers, because again, my hatred of Citra is that I taste it in most hazy IPAs, because that's what it's there for. It's there to give that big burst of citrus flavors of grapefruit and orange and all that kind of stuff. And those are the beers that are selling. Like, craft breweries brought these out long time ago. They've established and they're selling and all that. I don't see a lot of beers playing with flavors that are not that citrus. So like, that's the thing. That's kind of like hazy IPAs kind of realm now, is those tropical New Zealand hops, or lack for a better word, just your fruity beers. Like, that's where they live, and people like them.
Citrus is king, man. Everyone loves citrus.
It's good. It prevents scurvy.
That's not true. My father-in-law, that's every time I bring up a beer, he's like, well, as long as it doesn't have any citrus, or any citrus doesn't. And I was like, you're not gonna like our IPA.
No, it's easy drinking.
But that's fine.
But like, our IPA is different because it doesn't use any of it's not even like a top 40 hop. Even like, not even a top 50 hop. It is so far down the list and we're using it. But that's kind of what it is. But yeah, like, and I'm just gonna use this anecdotally. Like, I went to the liquor store the other day, and it is a bit of the season, so there are a lot of browns, and there's a lot of porters and stouts now because it is winter and all that. That's fair enough. The hazies are still there, but the shelf space that they're occupying is definitely way less than it was before. And like, it'll pick up in the summer again, because we know the seasonal variation and all that kind of stuff. But it's good that it's not overwhelming anymore. Yeah, I'd put it that way. You're not just being like having all these hazies or all these dry hopped IPAs put in your face. It's like, oh yeah, we've got one brown beer and 6 IPAs. No. Everyone has a decent mix now.
Sure.
So yes, they found their niche. They're not exploding anymore, and they're not going away.
Yeah, because you don't see. I get most places have a decent IPA now. They've got like their West Coast IPA and they've got their East Coast IPA.
Well, the article mentions that some of them are going back to like the bitter, punchy in the face IPAs. And we'll like those, we'll see that balance out somewhere because and certainly you want that. I don't know. I find I want that sometimes. You don't always want to be drinking fruit with your beer.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what they can do with it. But another tool they might end up getting is the other topic you mentioned, this gene editing that is starting to happen on the yeast side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Hops, we've been gene editing naturally for centuries just by doing selective harvesting or
selective breeding. Yeah.
Selective breeding. Thank you.
Yeah, this article out of Wired.
There's also here I'll send you. There's a PopSci one as well, which has some interesting points on it. But basically, it's taken advantage of a relatively recent technology called CRISPR, which I'm sure many people have heard of, in everything from creating new sheep wool to solving aging and all that other sort of stuff. It's being purported as the wonder technology that can let us do anything, and it's a relatively cheap gene editing technology where you can identify a single strain of or a single part of the DNA and very selectively remove it and replace it with something that you want, and it's got a reasonably high success rate. So yeast, being a living organism that does all the heavy lifting in beer production, obviously has a genetic code that carries some of the characteristics of the yeast. And prior to this, you'd get different yeast strains through either selective breeding or some other wild strain, or you'd find something that would give you a certain flavor compound, and now they might be able to just very selectively produce certain yeast strains to provide different flavors in beers without changing mash or hop setups. I'd be very interested to know how the original creators of the Reinheitsgebot would feel about this this method of adjusting the beer flavor.
It still
technically falls within the letter of the law.
Yeah, letter of the law, even though you've taken the yeast and made a Frankenstein, edited together, and it's like, I live, Father. I don't know what for what, but I live.
The letter, but not the spirit.
Definitely
not the spirit.
But that's fine. I mean, the original letter of the law didn't have yeast in there anyway, so
they didn't know about it then.
They didn't know what it was.
They had magic spoon. That's what they had.
But anyway, so some of the things they're talking about and some of the potential applications of this are pretty cool. One of the big ones that comes up is in terms of off flavor control. Diacetyl is one of the big ones that we've all experienced and many homebrewers experience. It's an off flavor created when you don't do a proper higher temperature rest in your fermentation.
Yeah.
The yeast continues to metabolize some of the alcohol into diacetyl, and then you end up with that butter flavor that can create, in one rare circumstance, a strangely popular IPA, but most of the time is not desirable. So with this, they've identified the genome sequence that's responsible for that mechanism, and they can remove it from a yeast strain so that there's no risk of diacetyl production in your fermentation. So it takes a lot of the risk out of any of the process, right?
It almost, that's a thing, because again, to the diacetyl, you got to bring the beer up to temperature for like a day sort of thing, or depending on the volume, like a day or two.
Yeah.
And then you can drop it again. But if you can literally just remove that straight out and just be like, oh yeah, like we had this and not a concern anymore, we got the special yeast, that's literally time, and that's literally money, depending on what you're making.
Absolutely. And then another one I was reading in the PopSci article there is they've identified a different, I'm going to call it off flavor, but just a different like, what's the term I'm looking for? A different ester production that they can target out of the yeast. And so they're like, well, we've identified a particular genomic sequence in this yeast over here that produces a banana flavored ester in just the right amount. And so we can put that over here in this lager yeast. And now, boom, we can make banana lagers.
Yeah.
I don't know why you'd want a banana lager, but
yeah,
scientists don't ask if you should do things. They just ask.
Yeah. What's that line from Jurassic Park? It's like you never ask whether or not you should.
Yeah, you spend too much time focusing on whether you could do it.
You should do it.
But it's interesting.
Like interesting one.
If you can get that real fine control on your ester production, then that opens up a lot of. It makes a lot of things easier, especially when you start talking about those Belgian style ales or those triples and doubles that really benefit from that ester production, right?
Yeah, so like you could basically make like a super yeast and targeting like something specifically that you wanted, or in the other example there, like removing diactyl, like it's basically like a you pay an extra $1 or $2 for the yeast because again you're getting like a homebrew like sort of thing, and then you don't have to worry about at the end there. You just like throw it in, you're good. Doesn't matter. What do you think, Rob?
I think it's helpful. I don't know if I'm on. It's kind of weird because I kind of prefer natural foods or natural ingredients, and you're genetically modifying something, so it's not. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's like playing with fire.
It is a bit, but at the same time, like CRISPR and all that kind of stuff is basically doing what used to take, hundreds of generations or 1,000 generations or like someone's entire lifetime to like isolate and do all this kind of stuff. It's literally a tool. It makes it go faster. My little hang up is that brewers should learn, if you're making an ale, to bring up the ale and rest it for a little bit before you cold crash it, sort of thing. It kind of removes it removes a little bit of the finesse that goes into brewing, because it's like, oh, you got to raise it up, you got to make sure, because if you did it properly, your beer will turn out really, really great. Whereas that kind of removes that little bit of finesse. It's almost, I almost feel like I'm a little gatekeeping a little bit, which I think I am, but it just makes it easy. It makes it really easy. I see it for a large commercial operation, like literally being a money saver. You can get that beer out 2 days quicker, sort of thing. So you're not warming up the beer and cooling the beer. But for like the home brewer, it's like you're not doing it for that reason. You're doing it because it's the art, and you're removing that like stroke of the brush on your canvas that is the beer.
Are you though? But you still want to make a good beer, and you don't want to fuck it up.
True, but it's also like the learning and the mastery of the art, because screwing up is part of the process, and the mastery of look at my brush stroke. I did raise this beer for like a day because I knew there was going to be diactyl, and now it's gone because I'm that good. It kind of removes that little bit of mastery of the technique. What do you think, Brendan?
It's another tool in the toolbox. I mean, we've been playing with it. It's almost, I treat it more like an adjunct kind of thing. Like, because we've all done beers where you've added strawberries or spices or chocolate or all of these things just to kind of see what happens. And this is a way to kind of shortcut that process. I don't think it become a main part of my brewing style. Again, it's kind of that little bit of it's been gene edited to it's kind of easy mode kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's the way I need to go for that. But I agree with you. I think it's for larger scale breweries where you've got one master brewer and he wants to make sure absolutely everybody in the company can make this exact product.
Yes.
It's a way to get you to that, right?
Yeah, and like I see the benefits at the commercial scale. Like definitely, like I get literally time in the tank, all that kind of stuff. The less time it has it in the tank, the better. You can just pump out more, all that kind of stuff. It's more. That's why I refer to more of as art, because like I'll make the example. This was a couple years ago. I had bought like a little 8-pack mixer from Red Truck Brewing. They're based out of Vancouver, I think it is. They're a fairly large brewery. They've got red trucks. They got red trucks everywhere, sort of thing. And I bought an 8-pack mixer of their beer, and their lager was a diactyl bomb.
Yeah.
So I knew right away. I'm like, this didn't have its heat up rest. Like right away, it's like, so the brewer on that side, again, he's dealing with 100 or 1,000 hectoliters, maybe, who knows how big his thing is, but he screwed up, and I can taste it. And so it's like, oh, you should know better. And like us ourselves, like we've had a lot of, diactyl problems because again, it happens. But it's that kind of mastery, because it's like, oh, you screwed up. You shouldn't have screwed up, especially if you're master brewer for a, fairly large brewery. Don't do that. So it's technique. It's technique at the end of the day for me. It's a tool, but it's a technique to use the tool in the proper spot.
It's a crutch.
It's a crutch. And we can see that Rob is very strong on this topic.
Oh no, I'm having a rough time right now.
All right. Well, then, if somebody wanted to tell us their opinion of this, Steve, how would they do so?
Well, they could send me an email directly, noproblems @Solutions Brewing Co. And I will probably just write them back, just the nastiest email, be like, no, it's art. God damn it. But then
so just to be clear, Steve will send you that email even if you agree with him.
Man, I really like this. No, it's art. God, I've already got the pre-filled.
It's just a form letter we send out. Yeah.
It's a form letter. So I literally all I have to do is hit reply to your email, and that's what's going to happen.
So what was our email again?
Noproblems @solutionsbrewingco.com.
And is there any other way they can reach us?
They can also reach us, if they go to our website, solutionsbrewing.com. There is a sign up for our newsletter, which once a month we send out, hey, this is the podcast we've made, and any other social media posts and all that kind of stuff we've put out. There's our store there where you can order our very delicious beer, plus our collaboration, which we're very quickly running out of. So until the next one is ready, which is another 2 weeks.
By the time this comes out, it'll probably be ready.
Yeah, it'll probably be pretty close, but it'll probably be gone. And if they want to yell at us on the old millennial social media, or at Solutions Brewing Co. on Facebook and Instagram.
Very good.
Cool.
And also, my cat's having zoomies behind underneath me. I can hear a ball going around everywhere. More of the mic's picking it up.
All right, well, we better cut it off then. Take care, everyone.
Take care.
Thanks for the chat.
Bye.